Hi, everybody, and welcome to what I am calling Scott Aaron's COVID Corner. This is maybe an experimental, one-time only shot at this, but this could be a series. Who knows? But my first guest or victim is my friend, a guy, an artist that I know only as VanJoe. VanJoe, thank you for joining me today. It's awesome that
Happy to
you're
be.
able to do this.
This is awesome. Yes, I'm happy to do this.
I appreciate you taking the time. I got a real quick story. There's this guy named Trevor Rushford that in my 3+ years in Swanton, I seem to keep having this experience where guys appear or people appear out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, like, I get to know them, make a connection, and they seem to be like instantly become a part of my life. Your story is very similar to Trevor's. Trevor showed up randomly, the one and only time that he showed up at the monthly Swanton Writers Group. We established a connection then. I am pretty sure I had never seen you before. Then all of a sudden you're at a Swanton Arts Council meeting, and after that meeting, like we had a little bit of a connection there. Um, you made a very good first impression, I think, on many of us. And after that meeting, I start to see you like everywhere. 2 or 3 times a week, I see you on the street, in the library, at the local Hannaford. Just explain to the folks at home, like, how did you get involved with the Swanton Arts Council? What brought you to that first meeting? And also, you've been, I think, involved for about a year now. Is that correct?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Like, what's the impact that it's had on your life?
I think I pitched a tent at the park there with the swans for like I think it was like a pop-up yard sale or something, and I did not have yard sale items, but a few people around me were selling yard sale stuff, and I was like, let's just see what happens. I had painted, I think, a few paintings throughout the winter, so I had a good amount of inventory, and it was my first time ever trying to sell anything. And somebody had mentioned Judy Paxman. They said, you need to reach out to this lady. You need to contact her. And I think either they wrote her name down or I wrote her name down. And I didn't even reach out immediately. I think I had it on a business card, stuck it in my wallet, and kind of forgot about it. And eventually I did. My wife, she's like, I heard of this lady that people are saying you need to reach out to this lady. So it hit me, somebody else hit me with it again. And I was like, all right, maybe I should. So I did. And she sent me, I think it was an email, and said, you need to come to our Swanton Arts meeting at the library, and gave me the time. And I showed up, and I try not to miss any of them. And it's been awesome. It's something for me to rub shoulders with other artists. Before that Swanton Arts Council, it was just me, in my own little world, and it's really awesome to see that there's others out there that are in that.
So where did this all start for you? Like, how long have you been doing I see some of your artwork behind you, and actually behind me too.
For me, I think I was like going down the YouTube wormhole in bed one day, one of many days, and happened to just come across, I think it was either street artists specifically or spray paint artists. Many years ago, I was fascinated by a documentary that included Banksy, one of the best, most well-known street artists on the planet. And even then, I didn't pick up on, maybe I could try that. Maybe I could do that. It was just, oh, that's cool. Somebody's doing something pretty cool. And then, you go to Vegas or you go to New York City and you see these guys doing this street art stuff I do on the sides of the roads and selling them. And even then, I didn't think, oh, let me give my hand at it. But after watching a few YouTube videos, I feel like anything I watch on YouTube looks a lot easier than it actually is. And that's kind of how it turned out. But I stuck with it and been doing it for about 2 years now.
Wow. The name, let's put this on the record right now, because you and I, where this is going, but Vaughn or VanJoe, and how did that name, I know the story, but tell explain to the folks at home how this came about.
I'm gonna say my wife definitely is the creator of the name. I think at some point we were coming up with what I could either make my Instagram page or how I could. I think I read something about branding in Corinna Thurston's book. She's the amazing colored pencil artist, and she had mentioned that one of the chapters was about branding, and you want to have this brand that will attract and really tell your story. And so my wife had come up with VanJoe. VanGo, VanJoe. We had tried a few other names, and that one, when she said that one, it just rolled off and sounded perfect, and it scribbles good for painting, so that's what we stuck with.
It seems to be the perfect name, I think.
Yeah.
On a more serious note, awful tragedy last weekend with a fire that devastated a home and an entire family. I saw a post on your Facebook page about you donating like most or all of the proceeds that you got from your artwork. Explain, how do people, where are those people? What's their situation right now? How did you get involved, and how can we still help?
So I happened to see on a Swanton Facebook group page, somebody posted a picture of from where they were. They could see miles away there was some smoke, and they said, "Hope someone's all right," or something like that. And from there, something about me got the idea to start doing some digging and really try and locate where that was coming from, and then eventually the owners. And in looking for the owners, we were able to kind of find the neighborhood of where the fire was. And eventually, I just thought, like, these people are going to need things. Like, if it's that bad, they're going to need things. So let's start that. Let's get that going. And then I ended up finding the neighbor across the street's contact information. And then I was going to go to the grocery store to get some groceries. And I thought, well, I get out once a week due to this COVID-19 lockdown. So I thought, let me take the scenic route and go see this place. And if the stars align, maybe the owner will be there, and I could connect with them and say, hey, how can we help? Here's what we want to do. We're on Facebook trying to get some things together. I need a contact so that I can get you some assistance or help or whatever people are going to donate. And sure enough, it was perfect. I got to the place. There was the fire, they're still putting the fire out. I pulled into the neighbor's yard, got out, and the neighbor was talking to someone in the car. And I looked to the neighbor and said, hey, do you know who owns it? I'd like to talk to the owner. And he's like, they're right here in the car. And they got out, and I saw the person, and I was like, holy crap. Like, I don't know this guy, not even by name, but I know I worked with him for a short period of time.
Wow.
He didn't recognize me with the beard, but I was like, dude, I totally worked with you when we worked together at the prison. So here's what's going down. I said, look, I'm willing. I kind of have a small thing with painting. I said, I'm willing to, whatever I sell, depending on the painting, like half the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds, whatever, I want to give some money towards you. My friend, JD Wheeler, he's got a woodworking art thing as well. And he said he would get in on it with me. And so they were obviously very appreciative. I think somebody started a GoFundMe they were looking for about $2,000. They're at $21,000 right now, last I saw. So they're getting some awesome support from everyone in the community, which is absolutely great.
That's great. And it was great for you to get involved with all of that.
And if anyone else is looking to help, they're still, from my understanding, keeping in contact, they have plenty of clothes and things like toys for the kids and things like that. What they're looking for and concerned is food, things that are, and obviously cash. And so what I've done is people buying my paintings, I've been given a portion or 100%, depending on the pieces, towards them. And anyone that's willing to, wants to help them out, their parents, that's where they're staying. They're staying with their parents in Swanton. So they have an address. I can reach out to them and have them share that with you. I think they have posted it on Facebook. For anyone that wants to help them out, they're obviously willing to receive that help.
And maybe you and I don't know if we want to share their names right now at this point, but maybe there's some sort of link as part of this interview that we can share, so people
I can probably do a link to either the GoFundMe or some other link. Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds good. Now, I know your wife and myself and other people have been a little bit critical of you for maybe underselling your paintings as far as the price range. Just for example, those two beautiful pieces that are behind you, like, do you care to share like about how much those go for? Or
I
talk about how you figure out in your own artist head, like, how much do I charge for a painting?
feel like I'm still such a rookie to the art and selling art field that I'm always changing my methods, and I'm always asking experienced artists on how they do that and what their reasoning is. For me, it's about what I've learned anyways, and what I've been taught is the amount of time, effort, material, and energy that I put into a piece. Um, and a lot of times, especially like day one when I was selling in the park, I'm not kidding you, and I just love to say this, and I love the story behind it. I would give paintings away for free just because I was amazed that people wanted them. And I would let people, so Banksy did this thing in New York where Banksy sells art for 150,000 to millions of dollars a piece. So he asked this old guy in New York, Times Square, or maybe Central Park, he says, hey, sell all these paintings, and if anyone tries to talk you down, accept the price. Whatever they talk you down to, sell. And so I love that idea, like taking the way things regularly go with selling and just crushing that and doing something totally different. So I did the same thing in the park. Anyone that talked me down, if a guy talked me down, he said, I'll give you a penny. I gave him the painting for a penny. And I thought, why not? You know, like somebody wants my art, I'm willing to give it up. So to this day, these pieces behind me, price wise, you know, maybe, I don't know. I was also told never to give prices because like then if I were to say $50 for this piece and somebody were to come and say, hey, I want that piece, you said it was 50, but somebody else would have said, man, that's crazy, I would have gave you $100. So I'm learning that there's a weird game to play with that too. But let's see, these two pieces, if somebody gives me a rookie LeBron James card, it's theirs. Care if that rookie LeBron James card is valuable. If it's one that I don't have, it's theirs.
Nice. I've seen you in action. I remember you'd already done, I don't know if you're starting to become established. In my mind, I think that you were at the point where you were making a presence in the community. I just remember seeing you, like you had half of the backstage of the St. Albans town hall or city hall.
Yeah.
And I remember watching you in there, and you're just like a natural born like salesman. You're very easily, you're an approachable guy. People seem to like enjoy kind of going the back and forth. Is that come natural to you, like interacting with the people, or is that something you're slowly like feeling that you're starting to learn?
I feel like I believe I have a pretty good chameleon ability. I can fit in where I need to fit in and put a mask on for any scenario that I might need to. And it doesn't always work out well. Sometimes I can't. But with sales, that's not that doesn't come easy. And sometimes I just turn a switch and I'm like, look, I know I need to be the social butterfly right now in order to get people to come look at my art, talk to me. And I'm learning so much, even the shows that I do where I don't sell anything or I lose money, I still learn a lot. And that's the fascinating thing about doing the shows as far as like the social experiment of it all. It's always a learning experience. It's really awesome. And so I wouldn't say that I'm always a social butterfly. I wouldn't say that it comes easy, but I feel like when I need to turn it on, I can. I don't know if it's fake. I don't think it's fake. I feel like I try to be genuine about it, but sometimes I'm more talkative and open than other times.
I think you're genuine in my own personal opinion. Um, you are like the colors in your artwork, they pop, and you do, in my opinion, an excellent job on Facebook. That's where I follow you. I know you just talk a little bit about where people can see your art. How do they get a hold of you? I'm interested. I've seen you and I think, have the same kind of sense of humor. I've loved some of the videos that you've posted of your boys, your two boys, but also could you speak on your involvement with Eddie Woods, that video that you two did that he produced for you? Anytime that there's fire in a video. I feel like that's awesome. You had fire with your colorful artwork in fire in slow motion. So that was just like, that was a automatic like winner for me. How did that all come about, and where can people see that?
Yes, so Eddie Woods has a Facebook page. I believe his production company does as well. I post my stuff on Instagram and then I link it to Facebook all the time. Connecting with Eddie, so I think his wife had come to the St. Albans Town Hall, and she likes fairies. I believe she has a huge fairy piece tattooed on her back. She saw one of my fairy pieces, so she sent Eddie, I think it was around her birthday, to come purchase it. Um, so Eddie bought the fairy piece, and I think I had talked to him about possibly putting some of my art up in his coffee shop, The Grind, there in St. Albans. And then somehow through conversation, he said, "Hey, I'm also into video production. I'm looking to shoot a B-roll thing, maybe a commercial, and submit it for a contest. Would you be willing to do that?" And I would think normally that would cost me money, but he's willing to do it. And I'm like, absolutely, dude. It's win-win for everybody. So let's do it. And he came over. We shot, I think it might have been an hour or two. And with the fire, the funny thing about the fire is, so when I watch these pros that do this stuff on like Vegas or New York City or even on YouTube, the fire is it's some of it is flash just to look cool, but some of it actually has a purpose. It actually heats the paint and dries it quicker than waiting or using a blow dryer, which is what I normally do because I don't want to burn down my house. But when he came over, I was like, "Look, man, I'm nervous about it, but I'm willing to give this a shot." I was like, "Here's what people do. They basically throw a flame at the thing and it cooks it real quick and it looks awesome and it's great for shows. If you're willing to try it, I'm willing to try it." And we got the fire extinguisher nearby, and you saw it in the video. It turned out pretty cool. And like Dave Chappelle said, anything in slow-mo looks awesome.
No, that's great. So will you be teaming up with Eddie again, you think, for videos in the future?
Yeah, he actually mentioned it, I believe, and I'm willing to. Absolutely. He's great, and I'd love to work with him again. Totally.
Nice. You and I had a conversation, like just in my own personal path. I won't speak for you, but to say out loud to people that I'm actually a board member of the Swanton Arts Council, and you are too. Do you care to share, like, there was a campaign or an election? Do you care to share that story and how you know, I think that I've dropped the lawsuit, but I was thinking about it. Do you care to explain what happened, what went down?
You wouldn't get much. Yeah, so that was like my first ever in any way election situation. I don't think I ran for anything even in school. So and around the time it was just was it a couple years into Trump's presidency? So that whole Trump campaign is fresh on the mind then. So I thought I got to smear this guy. That's the only way to win. And so I just went at you, man.
Yeah, it hurt, but I'm not sure that. I mean, I think a lot of people knew anyway that I probably had some Russian connections. So, um, do you have more work to show right now? Like, is there a way to
Yeah,
show?
so I have, this is what I've come up with. I think this will work the way I hope. Let's see here.
I
Uh,
mentioned real quick, I kind of referenced it before, but the three crosses, that's one of your
so this, yeah, the
works.
one there. Yeah, I did that one. And I thought the three crosses would, it's interesting. Some people are into religion, some people aren't, and I don't want to offend anybody. So I only did a few, and I'm glad you like that, man, because a lot of people don't, which I thought was very interesting. So I'll throw some stuff behind me here. Just some. So this is a picture of one of the shows. I think. Yeah. So the first show I ever did, I didn't even have a tent. I would just lay paintings out on the ground, which I realized was absolute horrible and didn't show anything to anyone driving by. And then later I got a tent and I was able to show some stuff like this. Um, and then I'll show some other pieces that this one I did yesterday. I don't know if you can actually see all of it because of the angle of the camera here, the way it cuts it. I did this one just before talking to you yesterday.
That was one of the first things I posted on Facebook this morning, and it looks great.
Thank you.
And that house that you have, I mean, your
Yeah.
house always looks very
These are
neat.
all the different rooms I have in my house. It's lavish. Who knew Swanton had such?
I know. I heard you're in the village, and I keep seeing these pictures, and I'm like,
It's
I
the
wonder
18
which
room
house that is.
mansion. Um, this one's one of my favorite ones. So the space thing is like one of the first things people, if you ever get into this art form, painting planets and spaces, the kind of, I would say the first stages, the beginning, the basics, and from there you can develop your techniques and learn different things and expand. So the space thing, I love the idea of the predator, and they're really simple and they come out to look pretty awesome.
That really does.
This one doesn't come out too well because I chopped the head off of, I believe that's Mufasa that I'm chopping his head off there. Yeah, but The Lion King seems to be one of my biggest Disney ones. A lot of people love that one.
You
Yeah,
have an ongoing back and forth kind of jab session with one of our Swanton Arts Council members, Christian Jackson.
yeah.
And I've heard recently, it's kind of like the Judy H. Paxman thing, and myself, like some people wonder, like, what's the actual nature of our relationship. She just told me that you two are collaborating
Yeah,
on a project. Do you care to speak about that?
yeah. So I had done a piece on a mirror. I believe it was the Alice in Wonderland piece, and she really liked it. And she, if I'm not mistaken, has a pretty cool looking mirror that she wants me to get creative and do something with as well. And the beef between her and I is obviously no real beef at all. It's just she's an old Navy vet, so am I. So we kind of have that thing going. And once we made that connection, it was battle buddies from there.
Nice, nice. People will be excited to hear about that. You don't really hate each other.
No, not at all.
Judy and I don't either, but she'll probably tell you different if you
There you
ask.
go.
Yeah, exactly. Um, there was, and I've made kind of on speaking of Judy on our recapping the arts show, I've kind of made some little jokes about it. It's not necessarily like something to laugh at, but there was some youth in Swanton that got in trouble within the last year. Um, and I saw recently on your Facebook page, you had posted something where you're in a photo with these two young fellows, and you had a chance to kind of, you know, be a role model or whatever. Do you care to talk about that at all?
Yeah, so the truth is, I'm actually a kingpin around Swanton, and I had actually paid these guys in crack cocaine that day to go out and spray paint what they're telling everyone is their name. It's actually my real name, Pickett. They're spraying that all over the buildings, and now I want to apologize.
Crack is whack.
So, all right, so I was on lunch break, and I happened to be in Swanton working and taking my lunch break, and I looked over and I saw these guys with this air, what is it, a compressor power washer. And I'm like, where do I know these? They look very familiar. And in my just what I oddly do on Facebook when people get in trouble and they're posted on the police department, I kind of look into that, you know, what's their story. And that's how I knew them. I was like, oh, these are the guys that were in trouble for spray painting all over Swanton and St. Albans. And I was just like, I got to go talk to these guys. Like they're kind of in my world. They're spray paint, you know, people. I'm spray paint. So I went over there, and they were the coolest dudes. They were really respectful. They weren't jerks. They weren't what I think the posting on the police department's face page made them out to be. You know, these terrible troublemakers out causing destruction throughout town. Just being, no, they were not. They were just dudes doing their, you know, doing something that they kind of didn't really have an understanding about, and they were remorseful, and they were there cleaning it up. Like, that's so cool of them. I don't believe they were forced to do so. And so we connected on the whole spray painting level. Like, yo, you guys are into spray paint. Here's what I do. I see this is what you do. Like, let's connect. And they were totally down for a photo. And I don't want people to think that just because some kids get the idea to spray paint and tag a building that they're the scum of the earth and they're going to grow up to be complete worthless. Like, that is absolutely not the case. In fact, what you can do is take that kid and say, oh, so you like art? Maybe not do it, over here. And I'm not even against the illegality of it. I just want to like say, hey, if that's what you're into, we can do this over here on these art walls, and people will praise you for it versus you doing it over here on this business's wall and they don't like it. You know what I mean? So you can turn that around.
So have you established a relationship with these kids?
Yeah,
Like, are they following you? Are you following them, what they're
yeah, we're
doing?
following each other on Instagram. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Nice.
And I've welcomed them. I said, look, you guys want to come to the art council? Like, we'd love to have you. I want you to know that as far as I know, everyone at the art council doesn't hate you and doesn't have any animosity towards you. We know who you are. We're welcoming you to come check it out. Do your thing. Open arms. Come on in.
Nice. Nice. Um, who is more concerned about your gaming addiction, myself or your wife?
My wife is definitely well, I don't know if she's concerned or given up, but she hates it. She hates it. You know what? She did it was her idea. A couple things were her idea. It was her idea to get the video game system in the first place when I came back from Afghanistan in like 2013. I wasn't even into video games. She's like, hey, you should buy an Xbox and play online. So that was her. She started it. And then recently she tells me you should get a gaming chair so you're more comfortable. So, I mean,
She's kind of an enabler.
In a way, yeah.
Now, what kind of games are you into?
First person shooter, Call of Duty all day, literally.
No sports. No.
I am terrible at sports. I don't understand many sports, so when I apply that to video games, it doesn't go well for me. So yeah.
Gotcha. You and I, it was a nice little discovery. I don't know, close to a year into our relationship. We're sort of in the same line of work. I know there's sort of like a sensitivity, confidentiality kind of thing, but spray painting is not your first source of income.
Right.
Do you care to talk about what is your first?
Yeah. So I've had a wide range of different jobs in my past, and there was this TV show, this guy, what was it? The Pretender, I think was this TV show back in the day I remember watching. And the cool thing about the show and the guy was, government conspiracy, they were chasing after him, but he had the ability to jump into any job, and he knew just enough to where people thought, this guy knows what he's doing. He can jump on a plane and fly it. He can jump in an office and run the office as a manager. He can go to a hospital and play doctor. And I've always been fascinated by the idea of having a vast background in every job, or jack of all trades kind of thing. And so I've had dozens of different jobs, and the one I love the most, corrections or the military, I left and I was like, man, what am I going to do now? And I happened to see something that in no way was something that I thought I'd ever do. Social work, it's got like 12 different titles: social worker, caseworker, life coach, mental health case manager. And so I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. And I don't know how. I feel like they looked at the wrong resume, or they were mistaking me for someone else, but they ate it up at the interviews, and I got hired. I've been there just over a year, and I absolutely love it. You get to help people. I also have this weird complex where I want to be a hero and help people, and this job is just that. Like, it's great, and it's very community centered.
I've seen you in action, and without having to know anything about your past, it seems like a natural line of work for you. It seems like you're where you belong right now, as far as that line of work.
I know I was talking to a coworker, and we do these things called peer support, where we kind of get together and talk about what we're struggling with, what we're doing, what's going great, just to kind of help each other out, as a team. And she had mentioned something to me that was amazing. And she's like, I feel like when they hire us, it's not necessarily based on our credentials or our degrees. Keep in mind, most people that I'm working with have like way more credentials and master's degrees and things that I just do not have. I didn't even graduate high school. But I think they liked my life experiences and the way I don't know, maybe my ability to talk to people. And that was one of my big points was, they said, how, if we're going to hire you, what can you do here? And what do you think you have different than other people? And I think I was strong on my ability to talk to people. And And that's what my other coworker said. She said, I think aside from credentials, I think they just look at us and go, this person's going to be able to do this job and talk to these people and help these people because of who they are. And so far, I think that's been the way it's been going.
I have a small hunch. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I have a feeling that you'll be at that job until your art career takes off. And then I probably won't, someone like me probably won't even be able to get a hold of you for an interview.
I love the confidence that you have. I wish I had more of my own. I know I don't plan on leaving my job anytime soon. Every job I've ever had within a year, I've been looking at other places. I don't plan on leaving my job at all anytime soon. Hopefully the art takes off like that. That'd be great. My job is so great that they let me do my art in my job. They let me combine the two. Like, that's the best of both worlds. So I'm not going anywhere.
That's great. That's you're living the dream. Now, listen, I'm calling this Scott Aaron's COVID corner, and just that the COVID part, it kind of reminds me of that pandemic that's going on. But I wanted to ask you, like, negatives, positive, how are you and the family? How have you managed for the last 6 weeks, 2 months now? What's going on? You guys doing all right?
We're adjusting just like everyone else. I think the happy part of it, the good part is like everyone's going through it, you know, so you're learning from everyone else on how they're dealing with it and what they're doing to get through it. I mean, this, to me anyways, this isn't absolutely terrible. I mean, we're not living apocalyptic Mad Max time here, but there are parts of it that, you know, suck. There are, and maybe more so for other people than some, you know. My family, my wife actually is, she's more cautious than I am, which is great. I'm the one that goes out and goes shopping, and, you know, once a week I'll go get groceries and things like that. So my wife and kids stay home pretty much the whole time. But one of the best things to come from this, I think, there's the time together, which you can say and then brush off, but like family dinners, like family lunch, breakfast, and dinner, we do it all, which is awesome. I love that.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing all right. I look forward to a time. I think I'll always remember your son was doing some work, I think, on the ground at the last year's Swanton Arts Spectacular. And it was his prices, I mean, were like...
He doesn't mess around, yeah.
No, he doesn't play around. Look, I appreciate you taking your time to be with me today. And I look forward to a time where I can see you in action, like out in the public again. And I hope that you guys are all well. Thank you for taking time to do this. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this. This is great.
All right, brother. Take care.
Yeah.